H-Town, hold it down. Welcome into Texans Today. I am Will Scott. We're discussing the latest Texans rumors on today's show. But before we get into it, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Look, the more subs we get, the more content you get. So help me out. Help us reach a milestone, too. We're only 301 subscribers away from 4,000. Hit the subscribe button below if you want to stay in the loop with all Houston Texans news and rumors. Rumors this week have centered around DeAndre Hopkins, who was cut by the Arizona Cardinals last week. The Texans legend was rumored to have interest in coming back to H-Town, according to the Houston Chronicle. However, Aaron Wilson of KPRC today reported that a reunion is unlikely. Here's what he said. While Hopkins has expressed interest in the Texans, a potential reunion is not expected at this time, according to sources. Hopkins has no visits scheduled at this time, according to sources. Aaron Wilson very much in the know. I certainly trust what he's saying, and this still has to play out, right? We don't know what's going to happen here with DeAndre Hopkins, but if the Texans do not land D-Hop, they are going to be more than fine at wide receiver. In fact, I think this receiver room is even better than it was last year, even without Brandon Cooks. Nico Collins, it's going to give him a shot to potentially be the top target here for C.J. Stroud. Robert Woods, you signed him in free agency. John Mechie, he's going to be back healthy, making his NFL debut soon. Noah Brown, you add him in free agency. Tank Dell and Xavier Hutchinson, you draft those guys. So this receiver room right now is really, really good. We talked about yesterday some pros and cons when it comes to signing DeAndre Hopkins, and the biggest con was it would stunt the development of some of those young guys. I'm really excited to watch Nico Collins as the top wide receiver on the Texans this year. I think he's going to have a breakout season. Then you look at a guy like Tank Dell. You want him to get as many targets as possible. So that would be the biggest con. But you'd also be bringing a huge weapon for C.J. Stroud. Again, you can never have enough weapons for a rookie QB. He wouldn't be cheap. He certainly have the money, though, to pull it off. And then you'd be bringing back an H-Town legend, which would certainly add to the nostalgia. So lots of pros, lots of cons. Let me know if there's more pros or more cons to bringing back D-Hop. More pros or cons, let me know down in the comment section. Chime in. I think there's more pros, but again, the biggest con is it might stunt the development of those young wide receivers, take some reps away from those guys. You would not want that. While the Texans may be unlikely for this point, when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, there is a new front runner that has emerged, according to Aaron Wilson. Here's what he said. Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins built one of the strongest passing connections in the game during their shared tenure with the Texans. They could have a potential reunion with the Cleveland Browns with mutual interest existing between the all-pro wide receiver, the former Texans quarterback, and the AFC North franchise, according to league sources. It's no surprise that D-Hop wants to play with Deshaun Watson. Those two were a dynamic duo during their time together in Houston. The Browns are looking to take the next step as a franchise, become a contender this year. So that's not a shock that D-Hop is interested in playing with Deshaun again. Deshaun was asked about this the other day. Here's what the former Texans quarterback said. Me and D-Hop, we just naturally talk. We've been talking since the Houston days. He's always been a brother of mine. Our connection, our relationship has always been great. Of course, we would love to have him. He knows that. Taking a look at the Browns wide receiver depth chart, they have a decent room there as well. Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, who they just traded for a few weeks ago. Those are their top three receivers, but that room can get even better for Deshaun Watson if they add DeAndre Hopkins. So that is an interesting development here. And the Browns have skyrocketed up the D-Hop odds. The Texans, there was 15 teams on this list I looked at on BetUS. The Texans were not in that top 15, which was a little bit surprising after that report yesterday. But the favorites right now, the Chiefs at plus 250, the Bills at plus 300. The Browns, again, have moved up big time today to plus 300 after that report. Dallas is at plus 400, and the New England Patriots with Bill O'Brien, he's not going to play for Bill O'Brien, at plus 700. Where is Hopkins going to play in 2023? Let me know down in the comment section. where is DeAndre Hopkins going to play in 2023? Let's talk about Shaq Mason now. He signed a contract extension about 2 weeks ago. We're just now learning the details of that contract extension. Before we get into it, again, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because if there's any news, rumors, updates, or buzz about your Houston Texans, we're going to have you covered down on the channel. So be sure to go down and subscribe to the channel right now. Here are the Shaq Mason contract details. So we knew that it was for 3 years and $36 million. We didn't know anything else. $10 million signing bonus. That's nice. I mean, producer Coop, can you imagine just waking up and having an additional $10 million in your bank account? I mean, that'd be awesome. His first year, he's just going to make $1.7 million guaranteed. The signing bonus brought that number down, I'm sure. Second year, next year, he'll make $9.25 million guaranteed. And then in the third year, he is going to make $10 million guaranteed. I said next year for second year. That'll actually be the year after because it's an extension. Taking a look at the linebacker depth chart, Shaq Mason is expected to be your new starting right guard. Titus Howard as the right tackle on this team. Kenyon Green is the left guard. Laramie Tunsil is the left tackle. The Texans offensive line looking like that with Juice Scruggs as the new center on this team, the second-round pick out of Penn State. So this Texans offensive line has certainly gotten a lot better this offseason. I am pleased with what has been done here with this offensive line. Scaling 1 to 10, rate the Texans offensive line down in the comment section. What do you think about this Texans offensive line? Let me know. I think the O-line is much better, and that's going to be huge for C.J. Stroud. That's really what it comes down to. The O-line is much better than it was last year. You have a right guard now. I think Kenyon Green is going to be far better than he was last year. Titus Howard, I think, is going to have a breakout year. So this offensive line being better is going to be huge for C.J. Stroud. You've got to protect your young quarterback. Speaking of C.J. Stroud, let's get into some stats projections for the rookie quarterback. Bleacher Report put out an article projecting the final season stats for every single starting quarterback. Here's what they had for C.J. Stroud. A 62% completion percentage, over 3,300 yards, 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. So when you look at that, that would be 197 passing yards per game. I actually expect the numbers to be a little bit higher there. Producer Coop's laughing. I don't know why he's laughing, because I have high hopes for C.J. Stroud. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be right up there with Bryce Young in the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. And the reason that I think the numbers are going to be a little bit better than what Bleacher Report suggested, and I get it. You look at historically, rookie quarterback numbers are not very good. But the reason I think they're going to be better is he has an offensive line. He has a lot of weapons around him. He's got a good coaching staff around him. Bobby Slowick's going to do great things with him as the OC. I think C.J. Stroud's going to have an awesome rookie year. I think he's going to do a little bit better than Bleacher Report thinks. How many touchdowns will C.J. Stroud throw in his rookie season? Let me know down in the comment section. I'm thinking 40 or 50. No, not that many. Probably, I think 22 to 23 is a reasonable number. I think he can do that. Let me know down in the comments how many touchdowns will Stroud throw this year. If you're wondering what their projection for Bryce Young was to compare the two, very similar. Young was at 63%, 3,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 14 picks. So very similar numbers to C.J. Stroud. I actually think Bryce Young's numbers are going to be better as well. Be sure to subscribe for more free Houston Texans coverage. If you want the latest Houston Texans news and rumors, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to stay in the loop.